Good morning, Jenna. Welcome. Delightful to have you here. You're somebody I was seeing around, but for some reason we never really quite had the opportunity to talk one-on-one. So, I feel very lucky with this right now.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
I was looking at your chart, because, what I have heard about you normally from the radio, for instance, it's always on the cross of explanation, because of course it is your cross. But the first thing that caught, my attention looking at your design was, a very powerful throat, but all the activations are unconscious. So, that really made me wonder what was your experience of that. It's been such obviously a very good transmitter. You have always a lot of interesting things to say. Everything is happening there. It's unconscious. What is your experience of this?
Well, for me, talking is a little bit like skydiving.
Mm-hmm.
You go over to the edge of the plane, and at a certain point, you just have to jump off.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hope that the cord works.
Mm-hmm.
So it just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
The transmitter is conscious. It's the conscious channel there. So I'm pretty aware of the fact that I'm going to transmit something, but
what?
It's really an open thing.
Mm-hmm. Also, I found it very interesting, in general design for somebody who is ahead of a national organization, especially the 3-5 party system. It's a bit funny, but very interesting to be in a position where you're going to be, projected on by everybody, multi-heretic being the head of an organization. That's somewhere. It seems to me you really need a sense of humor to do that.
My fourth teacher was Mark Twain's great niece, and she said, "Never lose your sense of humor." So, for me, I wish people would project some more, actually. And that channel of the alpha and manifestation. I came into this organization having worked in manufacturing for many, many years. And so my life was about things that were real, things that I could produce, make, people could touch. And when I came in contact with being the head of a national organization, it was really important to me that something in that process be very real. Of course, we print books. And we took everything in-house. We print them, we laminate the covers, we do all the punching and spiral binding ourselves. And now the youth group does that.
We will go there. I want to know a little more about you. Obviously, whatever is there in the chart, you can use now with the knowledge you have as head of organization and also as a person. But what was to be Genoa with this design before knowing the information, before getting into design? How was it for you, to go through life as an ego manifesto, splitting definition and conscious thought before you knew this mechanism? How was it to be you, let's say, before design?
I was kind of always out of the box, it was just all a head full, pedal to the metal, as we say. I spent a lot of time deconditioning during my early 20s. I got involved with Zen meditation very intensively. And, by the time I reached my 30s, I was actually living as a manifestor. I didn't know that. That was the key. And that's the most mysterious thing, that I was living as a manifestor, being very connected to it. But the idea of conditioning or what that was really about had never really occurred to me. I was deconditioning, but I didn't really know it. I was doing that because I felt like I had to in order to survive. But then I started a family, I got married, started having children, and suddenly, it was like a freight train coming out of a tunnel. The conditioning was huge.
And then, besides you found this, whatever you want to call it, what happened then in your life? Was it instant recognition about the information, something that moved you to shift in certain aspects of your life? Or how was it for you, the process of getting into design?
Yeah, well, I'd been an astrologer for 23 years at the point where I came in contact with human design. And this woman, Yola, nobody even knows her last name, said to me, she just ran into me and she said, "Genoa, I have something I really need to show you." And I went over to her place. She was all ready for me. She knew she only had about 20 minutes. She took my design on the back of her hand and whapped it on the table and started reading it right then.
Hey, my fellow travelers on this spaceship Earth, spiraling through space and time. It's that time again to take a look at another face of the programming godheads. We're still in civilization. Actually, we're at the end of civilization. Yeah. And, you know, civilization has all been about the female being responsible for in essence, the survival of children, of the home, of everything that that moved us as civilizations throughout our history.
And here we're going to meet the face of Muat or Maat. It's from the Egyptian, and you know her name was written in hieroglyphics, so there's some pronunciation challenges there. But Muat is an interesting face in that what we see here is we've reached that point in the development of civilization that you got to have some rules. You got to have laws. The trains have to run on time. You know, things have to become codified and
Got to establish the continuity.
Yeah. And what historically she was the law bringer. There were, you know, these series of at the moment when you were dying, you know, I've lived the life and I did not kill. I have lived a life that I did not lie. You know, the Ten Commandments were not the only version of this, folks. It goes back much further in our history. And here we see those fundamental rules being put into place that
Traditions.
yeah. The
That's what we're
cultural
dealing with.
traditions here, the beginnings of all of that.
It's what maintains civilization.
Yeah.
You know, it's what the mind has constructed as the way in which form will continue.
And more than just that, it's not the fact that Moab brought the codes for the traditions and how the society of Egypt would be ordered, but it's don't question it. Don't challenge anything here. You know, you can seek, but there's nothing really to find. You can go out and have experiences, but you're going to come back and find it's the same story over and over again. So there is this force here that says get in line and don't question. You know, yes, you know, these are the ways that will ensure.
Yes, the life is yours. However, it's your life lived according to these rules. You know, and that's what civilizations have done. I mean, you know, that's what we've been living since the beginning. You know, you follow the rules, you fit in, you live, you survive. You don't follow the rules, out you go.
And so when we look at this in the context of human design, we see something really interesting here in that we talk a lot about homogenization. And here we see the force, the influence to conform, to fit in, to maintain certain behavioral patterns in order to be able to live with other people.
Yes.
And how the mind then distorts that. It says, okay, I'm going to be controlled here, but therefore I'm going to do the best job I can of being this particular fitting in.
Well,
you know, I'm going to really fit in.
I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
And the best way for me to do that is to look like the others,
Yeah.
to act like the others, to get what the others have, and therefore I will survive. But in order to do that, and this is what we're going to begin to move you into that process. It's like, we're no longer those beings.
Yeah. We don't have to live the way our ancestors have lived. We have strategy and authority.
Another thing that trips up a lot of people in life generally, but something that is, as in everything in human design, you go straight into it and you can use it. Like I say, we do not avoid life, we go into it. Now, the funny thing about that is, in order to really meet life head on and to encounter it, you need something that people have so little of, and that's the ability to wait. For a generator to wait, to respond. We all have different ways of waiting. There is a kind of pregnant waiting when you've completely accepted the process, when you've completely accepted what's going on in your life. You wait with a pregnancy that brings something towards you. It's like people think of waiting as a waste of time. Well, I like to think of the two old gentlemen on the park bench sitting together. And one turns to the other one and he says, "What are you doing?" And the other one says, "Nothing." And they go away and they come back to the park bench, and the guy has come back, he sits there, he says, "Well, you said that you were doing nothing and that you're back here again." He said, "Yeah, well, I hadn't finished." It never ends. It never ends. There's an ability to, if you can wait, if you can be patient, if you can begin to trust the process of your own life, it takes away the tension. You don't have to do anything. You're not here to initiate for the majority of us. And we think we are. As soon as you initiate, you go into all that frenzy, all that trying to force something to happen. And even if you get what you think you want by forcing it to happen, it doesn't satisfy you. The satisfaction comes from doing what you love and from being who you are. And it has an ease to it. The financial material pressure that we're all under in this world comes as a result of being in that way. It comes as a result of you follow your bliss first, as Joseph Campbell used to say. You follow your bliss and everything else will follow naturally and easily. But people go into jobs they hate. They put themselves into situations which they can't stand. And most of it is because they're pushing. So one of the key lessons in human design is patience, how to wait. You'll see what comes around while you're waiting. There is something that precedes something that comes. You'll begin to see the signs of something fertile coming towards you. And it gets exciting because you don't know exactly what it is. But if you're really patient, things begin to open up around you and give you it's almost like the door opens slowly. And if you're patient, you can see it coming. If you're trying to get somewhere with the mind, you don't see anything. There is, there is a blindness in the world that is amazing. People live in their heads so much in this narrow little world, they're not aware of what's in the environment around them. The beginning of getting to that place where you can enjoy your life and what happens as it unfolds is patience. So there's no hurry, ever. I remember testing this I thought, you've got to do this totally, in human design, you've got to fall into it and do it totally. You can still carry on with your life, but the experiment goes on because of what you know and what you see. So I waited. And I was amazed. I'm 1-3 manifesting generator with the busy channel. For me not to be busy, it took, I think, 3 days, and then I was busier than ever. But I didn't do anything. I didn't make it happen. You don't have to make anything happen. You just have to be present. You just have to trust and fall into the life, and the life unfolds. This is a passenger consciousness. It's much more fun. You see much more if you look out the windows.